Hey everyone, hopefully you guys can see us now. Are we back?
Let them know.
Can you guys see us? Just ping and let us know if we're live or not. I don't think we're live.
You don't think? Okay.
Hold on. Oh, we're back up. All right, cool. So we made it back.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
maybe you guys went and got a sandwich or something of that nature.
Needed a
All
break.
right. So sorry about that. But pick up though, buddy, where we left off.
So we was talking about the fact that Jesse Jackson hadn't been one of the marquee figures, the top five that you said that we hear about during this time of year or during this month, right? In Black History Month. But to be candid about it, Barack Obama, he was still able to make history. And so sometimes we don't want to give flowers until it's too late in that regard. Just like there's not a lean or a huge emphasis on Barack Obama during during Black History Month. It's just a footnote type situation because he's still in the ability to create history as we speak. Jesse Jackson was living history for us. Let's just keep it real. He started so young in his 20s, started so young. He dedicated it's hyperbolic to say his entire life, but 60 years. It's easy to say at least 65 years of his life was dedicated to the advancement of colored people, to marginalized people, as it said in the report. And so you have to appreciate that. I know one of the things that you were saying was that he was a man, regardless of his position as a minister or as a politician or as an ambassador or all these other hats that he wore. He had, flaws just like any other man. We all fall short of the grace type deal. But the things that he was trying to do and the steps that he made and the strides that he made on our behalf or on behalf of society as a whole, not just Black folks, once again, marginalized people and America as a whole, can't be understated.
Nobody. There's no question. I love how you I love your soliloquy. It was awesome, right? Because at the end of the day, every human being has flaws. And most human beings don't wake up and say, I'm going to lead the world tomorrow, right? They just, go out and something happens and they get involved and with their flaws and all, right? But let's look at what some of the audience is saying. So we asked a question about should Black history, should it still be relevant? So Gail says, educators, kindergarten to 12, do the absolute minimum in teaching about African American. So exactly, right? They do. And this, again, is why one of the reasons that Black History Month exists and all the other months, right? This is from Sugi. Shuggy, Hoogie.
Suggy. Yeah, Suggy.
Suggy. From my memory growing up, I remember Black History. Let's put that back up again. I remember Black History Month. I have the wrong one, right? From, what did he say here? From my memory growing up, I remember Black History Month being taught, but it wasn't as prominent in my young education. So I said there needs to be more curriculum to encompass Black History Month. Absolutely, right? And then what else does Shuggy say here too? Sugi say here, he says, let's see if I can get it up here. But also First Nation history and also the general immigration history of many cultures as possible. We learn about the Irish and Italian immigrants. So you're 100% right, my brother. We do that, right? But that's what we were saying earlier about European history. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think that though the issue is, are we doing it to celebrate pride and heritage? Or are we doing it to elicit credit? Because what I grew up hearing was, oh, we invented all kind of shit that they stole. We can have our names on so many patents and so much money and property. We talk about redlining and all this other stuff in some of the episodes we've done. So is it a situation where we're doing this to remind you of our importance from a credit perspective, or both? Or are we doing this to remind you of the pride that we should have to remember the shoulders in which we stand upon?
So I'm trying to understand your last point. So when you were saying, what do you mean?
Okay, so some of the people that go against it is, hey, y'all here, y'all made it. Why do we have to keep banging this drum. You know what I'm saying? What are you after here? What do you gain from this? And so one of the responses is a remembrance of pride, heritage, dignity, things of that nature. But what they don't want, and this is why they burning books and changing the history and the narrative, they don't want us to have credit, I believe. What say you?
Yeah, so number one, they don't want us to have credit. So that's number two.
Okay.
Number two, they don't want to know about the credit. So that's number three, right?
Okay.
So that's really the key. They don't want to know, right? Well, again, remember the Titans. He don't want to know.
Right.
All right. And so, but at the end of the day, here's the thing. Reason I wanted to play Jesse Jackson's life. Here's somebody that just passed away at 84, 85 years old. Right? He's still on the planet. He was still on the planet. They didn't know what he did. Most people didn't know that he ran for president in 84. Most people don't know when he ran for president in 84, he just jumped out there. Then he came back in 88 and came in second in terms of getting the nomination. They don't know that. Right? And so at the end of the day, they don't even know today's history. Okay? But they're quick to write narratives about our people or other people of color and what we don't do and what we, stereotypes and stuff to that nature without most people don't know that African-American people, Black people have fought in every war. Every war. Revolutionary War. It's not a war that the United States has had that they fought that Black people didn't fight for, right? And then after they fought the war, didn't get the same spoils as everybody else, okay? Most people don't know that, right? And so these are the things. So when they look back and say, well, why they don't want to salute the flag, or why they don't want to do this, or they're ungrateful, they don't know the history that Black people have faced even when they were patriotic. Okay, even when they died and spilled blood, all the things that they did and fought for their country. Does everybody know about the brother who shot down, maybe a few people, the Japanese planes when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor? Was my man Dory Mitchell, I think his name is. We can go on and on and on, right? They have no clue. And so if you know more about the people that live in this country and their contributions, then you can't sit back and say that they're byproducts of, or more importantly, they're ungrateful or they're not patriotic, because if you know the history, they've always been patriotic in every circumstance. You see my point? So this is why history is important.
So you look at it, I look at it like this, and what you're saying, if the country is a company, I was one of the original investors as well. You didn't do me a favor by giving my son or my daughter a job here, because my granddad helped build this company. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that they don't want to have happen, is they don't want to have a situation where you're tied back to the origin of the success, to the origin of the company that is the United States. You know what I mean? And so we always talk about nepotism and things of that nature. And that's one of the problems that we have, is that the divisiveness comes with, you owe us something because we let you in, but you can't let me into something I built. You can't invite me into a place that I have part ownership of. And it's an ownership issue.
But there you go, though. So you said it's an ownership issue. It's also a ignorance issue. Okay, because you just got finished saying it, right? You can't let me in when I've already helped build something. I belong here just as much as you, right?
Absolutely.
But to be fair, let's get back to the, look, let's be fair, right? Brand spin. So let's be honest, because there's a performative thing about Black History Month too. Okay, brand spend billions of dollars saying, right, it's Black History Month and we believe in this and we believe in that. But then when you look at their company employment roles, there's not a lot of Black people work there. Okay. You look at, especially this year, how many of them now have, turned away their DEI programs when they said that they believed in equity and all these things. They got rid of that, right? But they don't want to come across that they're not pro Black American. But at the end of the day, their efforts that they put out doesn't equate to what they're saying, right? So you have social posts, limited edition products, panel discussions. But at the end of the day, like I said, we're seeing the same thing. DEI departments cut, book bans increasing, race language being softened in public institutions. So it's a huge contradiction, right? Let's celebrate the culture. Yay, Black American, blah. But at the end of the day, let's limit the structural setup, right? Reduce the structural conversation, because at the end of the day, we don't want to come across that we're not about all people of the country, but when it comes to our own companies and this and that, we're going to reduce that internally.
So the commercialization is a whole nother conversation, and the business and politics of Black History Month is definitely something we should dive into. But I akin it to a badass kid acting good around November 19th, right? Because Christmas is coming. So if I could just fool you around time to get these gifts up at you, then I can go back to being bad in January, right? It's a short-term thought process where, hey, and that's what happens around President's Day or whatever, around January, you start ramping up and banging the gong and saying, hey, we're going to let you have this. Because honestly, and this is something that we can probably talk about recently, the president has talked about removing these celebrations of heritage. So go ahead.
Finish your thought, buddy. Go ahead, finish.
Talking about removing these celebrations of heritage and things of that nature. And so therefore nobody gets, any shine, because once again, they want to say, I built this with my bare hands and my bootstraps and all that. And you came in, and that's how I can accuse you of taking something. That's how I can accuse you of needing to be grateful to have a job, to be grateful to be able to live here and be not 2/3 or 3/5. You know what I mean? Like, you owe me something because of the changes that we've made. But in reality, when you look at the trajectory of the country, so we talk about Black history, 1929, like you said, so apropos, 100 years ago, they realized 100 years ago, if we don't start saying something, they're going to act like like we never did a damn thing.
We didn't do nothing. We didn't do nothing. And
so they fighting tooth and nail now.
But here's the thing, though. So number one, you're right. This is where I want to go to, and I would love to hear the audience, hear their thoughts. So, and again, look at the difference in 5 years. Okay? Let me ask you this. Today is February 17th?
17th, yep.
Okay. Does it feel like Black History Month?
It does not.
Okay. See my point here, right?
It does not.
So why doesn't it feel like Black History Month?
Because people are afraid. They've become afraid to celebrate based on the repercussions of the administration.
Buddy, there you go. Right? There you go.
Terrorism.
It's
terrorism.
It seems
it's domestic terrorism.
It's the quietest Black History Month I've seen. Right? Think about it. You would see, number one, there'll be a million movies on, all right, of all type of, everything that Black people did. You don't see none of those. You don't see nothing. Even we talk about the performative stuff. You don't see a lot of that.
Nope.
Okay, you don't even see a lot of people saying it's Black history. You got to be reminded. So, but here's the other thing, though, bro. This is the point I want to get to. Even Black people. You don't hear a lot of Black people say, man, it's Black History Month, and we're going to this dinner, we're going to this fry, we're going to this breakfast. I want to take my daughters here to go check this. You don't hear none of that. You don't hear none of that, right? And that's on. So think about it. If we become complacent in our own month to celebrate our own people's accomplishments, it will disappear. Okay, and it won't be replaced by the schools doing a more thorough job, okay, of terms of promoting Black History Month or any other marginalized group. What do you guys think about that? Let's hear your thoughts on that. Does it seem like it's a quiet Black History Month for you? Do you guys feel like, because, look, I remember just a few years ago, Juneteenth, which I knew nothing about, to be honest. Okay. Most people didn't know nothing about Juneteenth, right? But people were getting the day off. They would celebrate, Juneteenth. Buddy, that seemed like that was 100 years ago.
Well, I'll say this: they not lifting every voice and singing where I live. Let's put it
There's
like
not, buddy.
that.
I mean, it would be you would see more, you would hear more, and you would have more people be learning more, and it was more pride. It's not now, right? And that's the goal. That's what they want. They don't
Absolutely.
want you to celebrate. They want it to be wiped away, and to be wiped. They want it to be wiped away. However, they're not going to your point earlier, and I'm jumping, but to your point earlier that they're trying to get rid of all these months because they're like, we should all celebrate all of our history, blah, 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 and we shouldn't have individual months. And you know what? We should celebrate, but they're not doing that.
They're not doing
okay?
that.
So at the end of the day, they're erasing stuff in using AI to erase history. Okay? So at the end of the day, they're not going to create curriculum that's going to provide a United States, I think Suggy said it, a curriculum that's going to promote universal history of everybody. They're not going to do that, right? So this will go away. And if you think people are ignorant now about what you bring to the table and what your people bring to the table, you can forget about it.
Yeah, because they don't want you to have access to part ownership. That's number one. Not even ownership from a tangible monetary perspective, but ownership of pride, American pride. Like I should be proud to be, you are a proud veteran. You're a proud United States military veteran. All of a sudden, if you can't have trans, you can't have black folks, you can't have women, they taking it all out to where, you look up 100 years from now, 50 years from now, you would assume that it was all white dudes that did all of this. You get what I'm saying? The concept is if you water it down enough or whitewash it enough, pun intended, then ultimately the narrative gets reframed. We always talk about the victor, to the victor goes the spoil, and history is written by the victors. They're going to put a situation where they make themselves victorious despite the reality, despite the facts. Because once you start racing away, this is why they burned the library in Alexandria, because they didn't want those history. If you have a chance, you wipe the people out that you consider yourself to be against. But more importantly, I'll go back to this, and I don't want to oversimplify this, and I want you guys to chime in. It's a credit game. They are so determined to take credit for things that they didn't even do, or they don't even have because they want to be outraged when you succeed. And I can't be outraged if you help build this. I can only be outraged if you snuck in and stole this. And then I'll say this and finish off. A lot of things that's keeping people like myself quiet is they whooping and killing mugs in the streets. I don't want that smoke, Tony.
So when you say they whooping, wait a minute, hold on, bro. When you say they're whooping and killing people in the streets, like, what do you mean?
Whenever you feel like you're going against the comfort of a white male, all of this stuff is about the white male being comfortable. They taking our jobs, they doing this, they coming over here, they do. So whenever the sensitivities of the administration or white men, we talked about the EEOC did a plug that said, if you're a white man and you feel like you didn't get that gig, contact us and we'll go ride out for you. What are we talking about? Are we going to remove DEI? We're not going to let these folks into school and get education. We're going to shut down HBCUs. We're going to take money from Harvard. If I'm a white dude and I feel like, man, something happened and I don't feel comfortable, they over-rotating on this. This Obama thing is crazy. They super over-rotating on it. So when they're going to those lengths, I'm scared to stand up because I don't want to be next. Like I said, they killing unarmed soccer moms. And these are Americans killing Americans and with masks on. Man, we don't want this to turn into a situation where we spark something. The revolution will be televised, bro.
So I hear that. But here's the thing, bro. So I'm getting a little hyperbole here because you're like, they're killing people in the street. They whipping you. You said they. Yes. But I ain't see nobody being whipped to kill because they were saying about Black History Month.
Oh yeah, not yet. That. But have you heard them say we was next? Have you heard those things?
No, I get it, bro. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be. So Sugi put something up. What did he say?
Okay, cool.
He said, I asked him. And he said, it's been crickets in Chicago accepting Black businesses and communities, okay, in terms of people promoting Black History Month, right? So there's people still doing it. It's just not being it's not being glorified like it was in the past. And I'm
'Cause
not
you don't want to be
saying
targeted.
no, no, no,
'Cause
no,
you'll be
no.
targeted.
I'm not saying that some of that's not the case. They're not
Mm-hmm.
being whipped and killed yet.
Not yet.
Right? So,
Not yet. The
because the
threat
way
of
you
it,
coming
all you need
across,
to do is see it. All you need to do is see it, Tony, to realize that could be me.
yeah, so again though, we're not getting whipped and killed yet, right?
Okay.
And I
Right.
hope we never
Again.
get whipped
Again.
and killed.
Again.
Yeah.
Again.
Here's the thing. I just think there's a complacency. Here's the thing, man. So I don't think black people are scared they're gonna get whipped and killed. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
All right. I just think they're complacent. All right. Here's the thing, man. Is that
I think you're wrong. I got you. But I think you're wrong. But I'm gonna tell you why.
Let me give you my example.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And you're a historian, so I'm gonna throw but I'm gonna give you Bible history.
Okay.
Okay. So, and let's look, when you look at the Bible, right? And let's look at the Jews, okay? And God always, that was his people, blah, 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 this and that, right? They were crying. And God of Abraham, come save us, get us out of bondage, right? So what did God do? He got them out of bondage, right? And then promised land, right? They all of a sudden they was going to the promised land, but they didn't believe. So a lot of them didn't make the promised land, right? But a lot did, right? And then so the point I want to get to fast forward it is that eventually what happens is that after a while, generations start dying off. And they start forgetting that God had our back. They're not as holy. They're not as spiritual as they were before. And they get further and further away. Okay? And I feel right now, not from a biblical standpoint, but from a God standpoint, but right now, black people are complacent. Because they're not connected. The new generations of stuff are not connected to the civil rights and what people before them went and blah, 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 blah. It's a huge disconnect, right? And then now they're out doing their own thing. They're influencers. You got social media and you got all this type stuff, right? So for the most part, they're like, that's that old time stuff, right? And then, so this is why you have, and again, I'm not using this as the be all in terms of why people voted for Trump or what case may be, but this is part of it, right? Is that all what they talking about? They still talking that old stuff, and we got to be for ourselves. So in my opinion, as a people, there is a lot of complacency. Okay, and it's just people just like it's no big deal no more. I just being honest with you because I don't see people. Suge said just a few people in the black community, but I'm not seeing a lot of pride. I'm just not. A couple of years ago, I saw people screaming about Juneteenth, flat out. All right, it's Juneteenth. Oh my God, I don't see that today about Black History is a month too. I don't see none of that. So I just think, yes, the powers to be don't want to talk about it. The powers to be want to take it away. But I'm also seeing our own people becoming complacent as well.
So, number one, we don't have as strong a community as we used to have. I'll give you that. Where I disagree with you is they cut the purse strings and cut the mechanisms that allow for us to openly celebrate through the DEI programs and people in positions that had the opportunity to highlight some of these things. Some of the corporate funding and some of the McDonald's commercials where they lighting candles and singing songs and all that, they was like, I don't want to do that because I don't want the wrath.
So, but Chris, that's not, so that part, I'm not even dismissing that.
Okay.
You can still on your own. You ain't got to have a McDonald's TV and look at that to say, hey, this is Black History Month. Hey, you know what? Let us, pay homage to the people that got us to where, you don't need all that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying the enthusiasm, okay, from just a regular, I don't see, and so you want to say that the corporations have not put money in it and they're not doing this? Okay, I agree with that. You ain't got no argument with me. I still don't. So in other words, if they don't do nothing, then we ain't gonna do nothing. That's what I'm hearing.
I think that it's short-sighted because it's not on TV. You assume it's not happening. But I do know people in Chicago that are getting down. I do know the Martin Luther King parade and all that. I do know in pockets it's just not being proliferated like it once was, because the dollars to proliferate, advertising dollars. That TV money is big. You got to have big money to do TV stuff.
But you know what? You make a good point. So that is fair.
Okay.
I'm not omnipotent. I'm all over the place, right? I'm just telling you a feeling that I'm getting, right? It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. But yeah, in communities and stuff like that, they're probably doing their thing, right? I'm just not feeling that. Let's put it this way. Let's say it this way. A national pride of Black History Month. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
A national pride of Black History Month, right? And it becomes, it's coming like it's a lot of work. Right? And when it comes like it's a lot of work, then people don't want to do it. Right? And they don't want to, and that's going to be the death of us. Because at the end of the day, we need to keep the, you go back to my man Alex Haley, right? Kuta Kinte. Right? What was the well, let me ask you this. What was the moral of the root story?
That he didn't want to give up his heritage.
He wanted to find his heritage, right? And so at the end of the day, that's the key, because there's a story, where you came from, how it started, how people kept it going, all those type things. And then what do? You pass that story on to your family, and this and that. So that's the point I'm trying to make here, right? You're not here. I'm not, and again, I don't want to, because you make an excellent point. Yeah, there's definitely pockets, people doing it. But my point is, that's something that, regardless of if the establishment tries to stop us from doing that, we can't do that on our own. We still got to keep the game going.
Right. Well, you know what? It's funny because I got a buddy of mine that live in New York, right? And so we just gonna go kind of juxtaposition this to the Bad Bunny situation, right? The Bad Bunny thing happened, and I was like, man, it was a party. They was getting it, blah, blah, blah. He was like, bro, that's the Puerto Rican Day Parade. They just televised it. That shit wasn't, to him, it was not a big deal because he sees it all the time. But when you cascade it out to the masses, now it's like, oh my gosh, they have such pride. They have such, rhythm. They have such enthusiasm. They really love, blah, blah, blah. They see that at the Puerto Rican. Ain't no Puerto Rican Day Parade in Dallas that I know of. You know what I'm saying?
But, so here's the thing about it. So look, let's be fair too. Okay, let's be fair. I tell you this story.
Okay.
So this was years ago. It was when I was working at this company. And I remember I came in one morning, came up the elevator. It's right on Madison and 42nd. And I came up the elevator and I saw one of my colleagues, young lady, and she was all bummed out. And I'm like, what's wrong? She was like, oh man, last night my father, we went and saw this movie, and it was about the Armenian Holocaust. And
that's not what
No. Here's my point though, right? Okay. She was Armenian, right? And she was just bummed out what happened and how they was wiped out and all 9 yards, right? Here's the thing. I knew nothing about an Armenian Holocaust.
Absolutely. Right.
So when she said it, I was like bummed out because, I didn't say that. But in my mind, because at the end of the day, we only know what we know. Okay.
Yes.
Now, when she told me about the Armenian Holocaust, did I say, well, why are you worried about that? You here in the United States. And that happened, years ago, blah, 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 right? I was open to learning about it.
That's true.
Right? So at the end of the day, to your boy's point, yeah, this is just a regular Puerto Rican parade, but most people don't see that. So they should have been open to like, hey, this is part of the United States. Here's a culture that we're not privy to, but they've made accomplishments here and they've done this and that. So we should embrace it and learn. You see my point here? But they didn't want to.
Absolutely.
That's the issue. They didn't. It's not that you don't know, because we're not going to know everything. I didn't know nothing about Armenian Holocaust. Just didn't know nothing. All right. But when she said it, and she was, buddy, I'm not making this up. She was bummed out, right? She was so emotional because it was still bothering her the next day. And then she was telling me, I didn't say, I don't want to hear that. I was like, so tell me. And then she started educating me. I had no clue, but I was open to learing. Right? And that's where the Bad Bunny thing drives me crazy. Oh, he didn't speak. It's because you don't want to. These, to your point about ownership, these are people on the soil. That's
Right.
working. That's
Right.
helped build the country
That's
and did a lot
contributing.
of these
Absolutely.
things, contributing and doing a lot of stuff, right? And you can't spend 10, 15 minutes dealing and learning their culture and saying, wow. And then more importantly, hey, he came from, what is he, cleaning tables? Or he was whatever he was 10 years ago. Now he's on the Super. Isn't that something to be excited about? Like this dude came and he worked his way. You don't hear that though, right? It was like they gave him some, or they're throwing
Yep.
stuff down our
Yep.
throat.
Yep.
Or you see what I'm saying? It's like insane.
But what you're exercising is the human factor of empathy. And if you have empathy for someone, you've humanized them. And now when things bad happen, you feel bad for them. And it makes you have to want to do something. They don't want to do it. They like to be in the bubble. When you enter a situation where you feel like you're on top, you feel like, we talked about this yesterday, there's only enough room for so many up here. Not realizing, no, everybody can get it. It's built for everyone. So the concept of, if you learn about Armenians, and now you start to empathize with Armenians, you might want to put resources or prayer or whatever into the Armenian situation because you've humanized that young lady. You'll never forget her because she was a human being. Regardless of what her name, if it hadn't been Armenian, you could change that name with any other name. You saw a human being.
Any group.
You saw a human being in a peril situation, and you felt empathy for her, and you asked, what's going on? Why is that? Because you gave a damn. Once you start giving a damn, that affects who you hire. That affects how you operate. That affects where you invest your money. You don't have a problem going to the restaurant, and they feel like anytime you get inclusive, the melting pot is actually a melting pot. They're losing. They don't see the collective greatness and the benefit to the whole. They feel like, hey, like you said, the numbers are dwindling. It's going to be more Hispanic than anything else at some point. You're not going to be the majority, and that fear is proliferating this chaos and proliferating this trying to dismantle it, you know what I'm saying, from the inside.
And is that the other thing I would throw, because everything you said, it's definitely part of the mix, right? It's part of the pot. It's part of the recipe in terms of cooking the dinner, right?
Right.
But the main thing with the Bad Bunny thing was that they're shoving this down our throat. This, you see my point here? No, I'm just buddy. I'm just being,
right.
And they're shoving it down our throat, and they're trying to indoctrinate. Right. And this is a leftist thing. And he's not even, he ain't speaking English, and he don't believe in you see my point? So it's not like Bad Bunny's taking something away from them. All right.
That's correct.
You know,
That's
so
correct.
that's not, it's the narrative that he ain't American.
Right.
All right. And at the end of the day, they're shoving it down our throat, and we don't want to watch a non-American, something that's, you know, and so that's the narrative that has been created to cause division. So it wasn't like Bad Bunny gonna take their job. He don't need their job. Had nothing to do with that. Okay. It had to do with, oh, he ain't American. Oh, he ain't a patriot. Oh, and they're shoving us down. We got to watch somebody not speak English. Are you, like, the Super Bowl is just there. I mean, at the end of the day, you just there. And we can go to nobody said that when Bruce Springsteen played. No, black people want to say, let's go start our own little channel. When Bruce Springsteen or the Rolling Stone, we can give a million examples of people, mainstream artists that was on Super Bowl, that wasn't black or people of color. Nobody screamed and hollered. We just dealt with it. We watched it, and either we sung along or we didn't. Nobody was screaming a whole 9 yards. But then this became a scream. You see my point here, man? So that was the issue. Is that we don't even want to see them. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather go see Raggedy Kid Rock, who drunk, who's lip syncing, who ain't even on the same talent level as Bad Bunny. But guess what? He won you see what I'm saying? And so that's where we are today, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
right? Because now you've already, the states didn't, the Civil War didn't just happen saying we're going to war. It
Right.
started where first people said we don't want to deal with that. Then one state says we're succeeding, and then the other state said me too. And then next thing you know, you had a snowball effect that created a big conflict, and that's where, buddy, it's where we're going. To be honest,
But to wrap it up, Tony, it's a situation of comfort and laziness, because when you were an executive, you had two narratives that were cast upon you. One of them was you was an orphan, didn't have a mom or a dad, came through drug riddled wherever you were born, and worked 17 times harder, and that's the only reason you're in charge. Or you're one of the good ones. Right? You're going to go. There's no way you could be. There's no way you could be in that position and be mediocre.
No.
But White Thomas, White Chris could be in that position, and no explanation is required. He's White Chris. White Chris has been in these positions forever. But there has to be some kind of narrative that exists for you to have any level of success. For your daughter to have a car, or to go to this school, or to sit up. Like I told you, when we came back from my vacation, they were like, "How did they get in the lounge?"
Right.
Like,
who are they? Right?
Who are they? Like, we just regular folk.
It remind me. What was the flick? We said it. Yeah, we once said the soldier story, right?
Yeah.
When Howard Rollins showed up as the black captain, and the other captain says, "Was your family rich or something?" He was like, "No, my father was a mailman." What are you talking about? Right?
Absolutely.
So the only way you could be an officer in the military, a black dude, your family must have been rich. He's like, my father was a mailman. What are you talking about? Right?
Yep.
But listen, let's close it down. So here's the thing. If history was fully told, February would be redundant. But until that happens, structure, remembrance still serves a purpose. And that's important, right? The question isn't whether Black History Month divides America. The question is whether America has fully integrated the history to represent all people.
Absolutely. And I think that we still have, and I hate this so much, we still have a ways to go. And I know old folks is tired of hearing that. They're tired of hearing that we shall overcome someday, because it just seems like, especially in these last, little bit of time, is getting further away. It seems so much closer, and so much, when you talk about the feeling, when Barack Obama came into office, you were like, okay, now he's going to get in there and we're going to show that we deserve this and that. And they over-rotated the hell out of this to put us back, 15 years.
Here's the thing, bro, and then we got to close, is that not first time, won't be the last time, right? And the one thing about our people, we continue to rise regardless of the resistance. And I was watching something the other day, and it made me feel really, and again, if you look at history, this is just another blip in history, right? Yeah. And so we'll get past it. We'll get through it, and we'll be better for it, right? And so we were, number one, want to appreciate everyone joining BEP Live and attending and watching on a Black Executive Perspective Network. And right now, we're going to ask you guys to make sure you check out all of our shows. Need to Know with Dr. Nasinga Burton every Thursday. Check her out. A Mixed Executive Perspective podcast with Grace Food and Corey every Wednesday. Her episode is dropping tomorrow. And then obviously our roundtable of Pull Up, Speak Up. Definitely dive into it. Actually, you're interested in coming on our show, Pull Up, Speak Up, provide your perspective in a roundtable, DM us, let us know, and check it out. And then finally, we want you to check out the Podcast Academy. If you are interested in launching your own podcast, no matter what it's about, and you want to amplify your voice, join the BEP Academy. You're going to learn how to put this together. You're going to learn about the industry. You're going to learn everything you need to know to create a successful show. And even if you have a podcast, right? We're still for you, because we've had multiple people come through our academy who have launched their show. We have one person that have like season 5, all right? And she's coming in and she's like, oh my God, I'm learning so much. This is great. So at the end of the day, check out the BEP Podcast Academy. We're taking cohorts for the March class, which starts March 7th. So go to the BEP website. You'll see the Academy tab. Click it, sign up. Let's see you, so you can be able to rock the mic and share your story.
Absolutely. We're unmuting voices and we're fine tuning and polishing people who have things that are already established. What's the website though, Tony? Let them know where to find us.
Buddies, blackexec.com. That's our
There it
website,
is.
right?
Yep.
And just hit on the Podcast Academy tab, and you got everything you read. You can register right there. So just go to BEP at blackexec.com, and you can hook yourself up.
All right, cool. Make sure you tune back in next week, Tuesday, same bad time, same bad channel. We'll be doing the same thing. Bring your enthusiasm. Go tell someone to come with you and bring your questions and answers and things of that nature. We want this to be an engaging, insightful dynamic for an hour. We love being with you. Where else can they find us, Tony, so that way they can check us out on all our stuff?
My brother, they can find the Black Executive Perspective podcast right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on our social channels, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at a Black Exec. Again, for my man down in Dallas, there's nobody that I would rather be here, riffing on the mic, we don't have the turntable, but right, scratching the turntable, or whatever case may be, is my man down in Dallas, Chris B. Reed. Number two, more importantly, really sitting here with you guys, and I really appreciate your engagement and diving in. And like Chris says, next week, bring somebody with you, right? We're going to grow our live platform here. This is going to be a primary vehicle for BEP, and you're going to be a part of it. So definitely bring somebody. So look, we talked about it today. We definitely got serious about it. We asked about Black history about it. More importantly, we love you, and guess what? We're out.